but he doesn't go after him right away. He waits for the right time. He's
Right.
so patient.
Right.
Like when you watch the early rounds of his fights, he's like at a world champions that are competing today at the highest level. He probably has the lowest punch count in the early rounds.
Yeah.
Because he just wait, but he also knows he's got that nuclear option that if he can crack you, most likely he's going to take you out. He's got
Right.
massive confidence in that.
Right back on. Body. Touch his body. Hard sticks his body. Hard sticks his body.
A little bit of weight. I think Gervonta will beat him, honestly. I think Gervonta will hurt him. I think he'll just use IQ. He'll tire him out a little bit. And, you know, I think he'll land.
Joe Rogan was shocked to hear that Gervonta Davis knocked out a heavyweight in sparring. Rogan praised Tank's explosive power and how he hits opponents right in front of him, without hesitation. He said Davis brings danger and excitement to every fight because he can end it anytime. Rogan explained that this unpredictability is what makes Tank both exciting and scary for anyone who faces him.
You don't know whether someone's ever going to be able to figure that out or whether or not he's just going to keep cracking people.
Yeah.
You know, so it's part of the fun of watching it. I've talked to a lot of like real boxing purists. It's like you can't rely on that style.
Right.
He's got to be busier. When he gets to the best guys, it's not going to work out. Like, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Inside the gym, people who've seen Gervonta Davis train say he looks even more dangerous than fans see on fight night. Heavyweights step in to test him with their strength and size, but they can't match his speed or explosive punches. Witnesses say even big fighters struggle to handle the sudden power that Davis produces from his small but strong frame.
Body. Touch his body. Hard sticks his body. Hard sticks his body. Ooh.
Oh! 30 seconds, 30 seconds.
A former sparring partner of Jake Paul gave an honest prediction: Gervonta hits way too hard, and Jake has never felt that kind of power. He said Jake might feel confident because he's knocked out older MMA fighters and boxers, but that won't save him against Davis. When Tank punches, he doesn't just score points. He hurts people. The ex-partner said Jake will soon realize this fight is beyond his experience. Many respect Jake for taking risks, but this one might be too much.
And like every single time, you know, people said that Jake would get finished or he would lose a fight. He obviously proved everybody wrong, but I genuinely believe this time, I think that, you know, with Gervonta's boxing IQ and him having Jake come down a little bit of weight, I think Gervonta will beat him, honestly. I think Gervonta will hurt him. I think he'll just use IQ. He'll tire him out a little bit. And, you know, I think he'll land. You know, Gervonta knows how to touch his opponents. But it's interesting because when Floyd fought Logan, the size really made a big, you know, impact. And you saw Floyd struggle, you know, against a big, you know, Ohio corn-fed, you know, wrestling strong dude. And, you know, I've sparred Jake and Logan before, and, you know, they train hard.
You're picking Tank by knockout?
Look, I sparred them years ago. They're much better than when I sparred them. They're athletes. You know, they train really hard. I think they work harder than...
Joe Rogan admitted that Jake Paul helped bring younger fans to boxing and created hype promoters couldn't, but he questioned whether Jake is ready for a real prime fighter. Jake's biggest wins came against retired or aging opponents, while Davis brings elite speed, precision, and real pro experience. Rogan said business success won't help Jake once he's in the ring. No one can take punches for him. He respects Jake's courage, but believes this fight will show the difference between hype and real skill.
10 fights, like, what if Jake Paul knocks one of them out? Like, what if you get a guy that, like, hasn't been tested and maybe has some promise and maybe gets wrapped up in the hype and maybe gets a little nervous and this is his first chance at a big show, and Jake Paul can crack.
Yeah.
100%. That knockout of Tyron Woodley is legit as fuck. He can crack.
But Eddie's point in that interview, and I think the point that just about every boxing aficionado would say, is that Tyron
Shob the adult shared insight into Tank's mindset. Even though the fight is labeled an exhibition, the risk of embarrassment is real. Tank has built a lifelong image of dominance, and getting knocked out by an internet star would hurt his legacy. His draw with Lamont Roach already gave critics something to talk about, So, he's training like everything is on the line. Losing wouldn't just hurt his record, it would hurt his reputation. That pressure drives Tank to take this fight seriously and stay fully focused.
The fake fight, but it has real consequences. Let him get knocked out by Jake. Let him get embarrassed by Jake. He can't come back. He'll be made a mockery of. He done took a knee, grease in the eye, had a draw with Roach, which everybody thinks Roach was robbed, and then made a mockery of by Jake Paul, a YouTuber. Which is why Gervonta Tank Davis is on demon time. See, me being back on my fitness journey, I know how hard that is, especially at his size with how heavy that medicine ball is. Gervonta Tank Davis is going to go hard, pause, on that Jake Paul fight. He has to. While everybody is trying to dismiss that shit, there's a knockout bonus and everything. You got Lamont Roach calling him all these names. Tank Davis shut off his social media. He can't take y'all negativity, making him worse before the fight. He can't allow y'all to be in his head, which that's what y'all want to do. The end of Tank. And I don't. I think boxing is better with Tank involved. I always say that. If there is boxing, boxing is even better when there's more talented and...
Bruce Carrington said fights like Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis are keeping boxing alive. Traditional fights don't always attract big global audiences, but these celebrity matchups bring new fans, social media attention, and excitement. He believes boxing needs moments that get people talking, not just belts and rankings. Whether fans love or hate them, these events make headlines and bring energy back to the sport.
Like, granted, it's entertainment, right? But this what this is. It's sports entertainment. This is what's gonna put butts in the seat, believe it or not. This is what's gonna, bring a lot of money to the sport. Especially, we have people trying to say boxing is dead, boxing is dying. But, we have a whole demographic of people that don't even watch boxing, interested in boxing. So I like to look at it that way. Like we're making these fantasy dream matchups come to life with Floyd and Tyson, And to be honest, I'm a little biased because Floyd, he is my favorite fighter of all time. And Tyson, he is a guy that basically made me fall in love with boxing. And he's like the icon, the myth, the legend for me. So it was like them two fighting. It's like, yo, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So and then on top of that, it's an exhibition, bro. It's not something to be taken serious. It's something that is for the people to just enjoy and watch. It's an exhibition. It's not like they're making it a sanctioned fight. Now, Jake and Tank, are they making that a sanctioned fight? I think they are.
They're trying to. It's a lot of moving parts right now with that one.
Yeah, so I think that's where certain things become an issue because now you're putting it into a serious space. You know what I'm saying? Which it shouldn't be. It's honestly, if it's sanctioned, how the heck they gonna I don't know, bro. I don't know how the heck they gonna really pull that off, but I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's kind of certain things you got to question, but at the end of the day, it is putting more eyes on the game. It's keeping the sport alive, and I feel like Jake, his vision, his views, it's kind of bringing eye openings. It's kind of opening people's eyes. It's funny because
there are worries about Gervonta's mental and emotional stress before this fight. Legal issues, court drama, and public criticism have added pressure. Tank has said he wants legacy fights like one with Vasyl Lomachenko, not controversial ones. When he fought Lamont Roach, he didn't feel mentally focused. Some experts think these issues could distract him, but others say they could fuel him. Tank wants to remind everyone he's still one of the most dangerous fighters alive. It depends on whether he channels pressure or lets it.
In the lead-in to the Gervonta Davis-Lamont Roach fight, Gervonta was not actually even interested in fighting Lamont Roach. He was trying to fight Vasyl Lomachenko. And Vasyl Lomachenko was the guy that was going to really kind of propel him. It was the big fight that he wanted to get. But unfortunately for him, Vasily Lomachenko decided to retire instead of fighting him. So all of the time that it went into negotiating that fight with Vasily Lomachenko, where he really thought that he was going to get, that marquee fight with a fighter, in that division, it goes away, right? So what does he do? He then has to try to make a fight with somebody else. And that somebody else was Lamont Roach, somebody that he knew, somebody that was from the same area that he is, and somebody pretty much he was doing that the PBC was doing a solid for and saying, okay, man, we really don't have an opponent, but this guy has a 130-pound title. He just beat Hector Garcia, the same guy that we beat. So boom, let's make the fight. However, that fight was originally supposed to be in Houston, and it had all kind of problems with the venue, moving the venue from here to there. It was supposed to be on one date, then it gets moved to the next date, right? And so basically it gets delayed and delayed and delayed. He also has issues with a judge over a hit and run case, and he's not allowed to leave Florida. She cites him and drags him into court because he went to DC, or he went somewhere without permission. So now he has another threat over his head about going to jail. Just a lot of stuff on the top of that young man's head in the lead into that.
Footage of Shocker Stevenson caused backlash after he criticized Gervonta's skills, but then joined Jake Paul's training camp for money. Analysts called it hypocritical, saying one thing about Tank, but then using his name for attention. Shocker had said Tank wasn't as technical as people think, yet accepted to spar with Jake for pay. Critics say it shows how fame and money can change opinions fast. Fans now doubt Shocker's loyalty, seeing his move as chasing profit instead of standing by his words.
Mentor to an undercard fighter, and then now, worse than an undercard fighter, you're being brought in for sparring, and you're like, ooh, I get to pick Jake Paul's brain, and you're like happy about being a sparring partner. For me, that wouldn't be kosher. If I was Shakur and I am who I say I am, I would be trying to build my brand as big as possible, right? Like if you want to be a big actor, you're going to get to a point where you got to start starring in the movies. You can't just keep doing cameos and showing up for 5 seconds in a movie. You'll never get to Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Will Smith, Denzel Washington. You'll never, if you're not a leading man, you'll never get to where they've been, Leonardo DiCaprio. They don't trust you with the whole movie, right? So for me, if my goal as an actor was to be a leading man and to be the top build, you got to start working towards that. And if you keep doing favors and other people's projects where you do these little bit roles and extra, you're an extra in somebody else's movie, I feel like that's a conflict of interest because it's not really going to get you towards your end goal. So that's what I'm looking at, Shakur. The branding stinks. You're literally Jake Paul's sparring partner right now just because you don't like Tank. So like I said in the last video, the branding sucks.
Not Tank. It's gonna actually bump up Tank. Yeah, these actions, hey, people gonna be supporting Tank on these type of actions. You guys gotta look at the big picture, man. Years ago, man, I had a chance to spar.
Boxing fans have been debating the partnership between Jake Paul and Shocker Stevenson. It's odd because Shocker had always criticized Jake's career in his easy fights. Analysts compare this to when Jaron Ennis helped Canelo train for Crawford, showing that money sometimes outweighs loyalty. They say Jake knows having a world-class boxer beside him adds credibility. Shocker gets money and attention, but fans think it's more business than respect. It proves how boxing today often mixes pride with profit.
Reached out to Jake Paul in support of him preparing for Gervonta Davis. Help me understand what is the difference between Boots Ennis reaching out to Canelo Alvarez in support of his preparation for Terrence Crawford versus Shakur Stevenson reaching out to Jake Paul in preparation for his fight with Gervonta Davis. Tell me what is the difference. I'll tell you what the difference is. The Ennis family actually had a relationship with Canelo Alvarez. Shakur Stevenson has no relationship with Jake Paul. None. We heard, oh, Boots is a sparring partner. How much you got paid for that? So now, isn't that also applicable to Shakur Stevenson? Is he not also a sellout? I don't want to hear anything about this fight. It's against a YouTuber, it doesn't matter. No, Shakur Stevenson is an elite level fighter that is going to be a sparring partner to a YouTuber, and he reached out to him to
Paulie Malignaggi discussed why Florida is the best place for this fight. The state's fun atmosphere, star presence, and media reach make it perfect for promotion. He said if Tank wins big against someone so famous, his stardom could explode beyond boxing. A knockout in front of such a wide audience would make him a household name. For Tank, this isn't just another match. It's a business opportunity that could lead to huge deals and worldwide fame.
Keeping to myself, but there's obviously a reason why the networks wanted to make Gervonta Davis a star.
But let's look at it. And Robert, I want to ask you this. When you looked at the numbers for Canelo, his fight against Crawford, 41 million viewers. That's what they got. It was the most viewed championship fight of this century. Jake Paul, Mike Tyson got 108 million. It got more than double, significantly more than double. Is it the idea of the streaming services, Netflix, where they're following the numbers, Robert, and that's where the numbers are?
It's what we're coming to, the real fights, the real fights where they deserve to be seen throughout the world are, it's great. They have good numbers, but when you see guys, that are YouTubers, guys that are 60-year-old retired and coming back, and getting 2 times more than what a real fight, it's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of embarrassing, kind of sad that we're getting there, that we're in that situation. But I also can't blame them. They're all making a lot of money. That's why Tank is doing it. I think it's ridiculous. It's a joke. But I can't go against that either. He's making a lot of money. Jake Paul is doing his thing. Jake Paul is he makes these fights happen and gets the views. So people are tuning in.
Andy Ross made a bold claim. He thinks Jake Paul could win. He based it on Jake's size and reach advantage, which might make it hard for Tank to get close. Jake's unusual style could also surprise Davis since he doesn't fight like traditional boxers. Ross admitted Tank is extremely talented but warned that Jake's power and confidence make him dangerous. He believes people shouldn't ignore Jake's chance because one big punch can change everything. And Jake has that punch.
Davis,
Crazy.
Your thoughts on this?
I have locks with Snaggy right there. I think Jake Paul wins that fight. You're way look. Obviously, Gervonta Davis has way more experience. He's a hell of a fighter. He's done so much more for boxing and than a lot of people. But to say that that's not everyone's going to want to watch that fight. I think it's a genius idea. I think Jake Paul sets the craziest expectations, and I think he sets the bar so high now in the boxing world. Jake Paul revived boxing. People can say what they want to say about it, but Jake Paul